Hello, my most amazing 4G artists. Today we get out the paints and try our hand at some color mixing. It is so fun. I can't wait to do it. So we are going to be doing a project with this color wheel that is fantastic. So I want to show you that real quick. You'll notice that we are going to make an eye out of our color wheel. This color wheel only has 6 segments, and it just has the primary colors and the secondary colors. We're going to get a little more complicated, and we're going to also add the tertiary colors. It'll look fantastic. So today what you need is your color wheel that we labeled last week with our yellow marker. You also are going to need one paintbrush, nice and small or medium, not too big. And you're going to need a palette of liquid tempera paints. And what I would suggest is having 2 sections of yellow, 2 sections of red, but one of them should be less, and 2 sections of blue, but one of them should be just a little dot of blue because blue is very dark and powerful. All right, so you also will need a way to clean your brush. So I would suggest having a little cup of water and a paper towel or 2 to wipe it off. All right, you don't need to dip your brush in water to start. It can be dry. What we're going to do first is paint the primary colors. And I like to just start with the lightest color in case I don't wash my brush off very well. So I'm going to dip it in yellow, and I'm going to find my spot that just has the Y on it. And I'm going to paint that in. So I would like to encourage you to put plenty of paint on there, because if you do it too thin, it's going to look like a very light yellow. And I would like this to be a nice, vibrant, bright yellow. So don't be afraid to dip your brush multiple times and spread the paint out nice and thick, and try to stay in the line so it looks nice and neat. When you're done with that, rinse off your brush in the water, dry it off on your paper towel, and go to red. So I'm going to dip in the red, and I'm going to find my R, which is towards the top. I'm going to paint that just like you did the yellow, nice and thick, being careful to stay in the lines. And then wash off your brush. And the last color, we're going to do blue, and I'm even going to take some out of my little tiny dot there because I don't need very much blue. Find the one that's just got the letter B and paint your blue. Now, if your paints are different than mine, you might have slightly different tones. If your blue looks darker than mine, that's okay. Your colors might mix to be a little different looking, but we're just getting the general idea of how to mix paints. It's okay if yours is a little different than mine. All right, rinse that one off. Okay, now that was the easy part. Now it gets a little complicated. So we're gonna go back to our lightest color. Make sure you've got all that blue washed off of your brush. We are going to take some red and mix it into our yellow. Now here's the trick, is when you've got a lighter color and a darker color, you only need a little bit of the darker color to make it change color. So I'm just going to dip a little bit of red on my brush, and then I'm going to bring it over to my yellow, and I'm going to mix it in. Now, when you look at what color that turns out to be, I want you to think about if you think that that looks more like a true orange, or does it look like a red orange or a yellow orange? So when I look at my color wheel, I think mine looks almost a little bit red-orange. So I'm going to paint that. Before I change it at all, I'm going to paint it on my RO because I think I already got a pretty nice dark red-orange. And then I'm going to change it by adding more yellow to get the other segments. Now yours might have turned out really light because you had more yellow and less red, and you might be painting yours in the yellow-orange. You just have to decide if you think that you can make it darker or lighter. All right, now, you don't have to rinse off your brush there because we're still working with the same 2 colors, but you can if you want. Now I feel like I need to get a little bit lighter to get a true orange. So I'm going to add more yellow. I'm going to try to keep this yellow from getting too dirty because I'm going to need it when I make green. All right, I'm going to mix that in. Yeah, I think that looks a little bit more like a true orange. So I'm going to add that to the one that says O. Now it might be very similar to the one you already painted. Hopefully it looks a little different. Okay, and then to make my yellow orange, I'm going to need even more yellow. So I'm going to add more yellow to get even lighter. Try not to get your yellow too messy. If you need to wipe off your brush, you can do that, because like I said, you'll need it for your green. Okay, so that's, yep, you can see that that's a lighter orange color. All right, so now I'm done with my yellow and orange family. I'm going to rinse my brush off, and I'm going to switch over to green and blue, or yellow and blue, which makes green. All right, so I am going to be bringing my yellow over to my tiny little blue dot, and that tiny little blue dot is going to need a lot of yellow. So I'm just going to scoop over like 3 scoops, and then I'm going to mix. Okay, and now I have to see, does that look like a true green? Does it look like a yellow green or a blue green? I'm totally thinking this is still too dark, so it's got to be my blue green. So I'm going to paint that in my BG spot. Oh, it's pretty. I love that color. And I'm thinking I might need a little more yellow paint. So if yellow is always the one my students run out of. If you need to add more yellow paint, then you can do that. I got a little bit more here, but I'm definitely going to need to squeeze more in. And of course, yellow is the color I'm running out of. There we go. Okay, I'm going to mix that. See if I can get true green color. There we go. Ooh, beautiful. Isn't it fun to see it change color and just like, oh yeah, that's green. All right, here we go. All right, now to get the yellow green, I'm gonna need even more yellow. Okay. All right, now that I'm done with that family, I'm going to rinse my brush again. And now I'm gonna work with my red and blue. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a little, I messed up my blue here. So see how I put a yellow dot? That's going to mess me up. So I'm actually going to bring my blue over to my red. So I'm just going to take a little bit. And there's too much blue in there anyway. That would make it really, I'd have to add a lot of red to get it looking violet. So just take a little bit of blue and bring it over to your red. Now, I think that looks kind of reddish still, so I'm going to paint that in my red-violet spot, because it's not purple enough yet. So that, oh yeah, that's perfect. I'm going to add, it looks kind of like a maroon color. Very nice. Now, if I add more blue, hopefully I can get it to turn a little more like a purple color. You'll see it on the bottom of your dish while you're mixing. You'll see it kind of turn to a purpley color. Now purple can be really dark, so it's kind of hard to tell, but I think that looks, yep, that looks like a violet. You can see, like, when you spread it out kind of thin, you can see that purple color shining through. All right, and then blue violet, you just got to add another scoop of blue and you'll get a good blue violet. Mine almost looks navy blue. All right, so that is the end of my color wheel. You can see that I've got my primary colors, red, blue, and yellow. I've got my secondary colors, orange, green, and violet. And I've got my tertiary colors, all those colors that are hyphenated, like yellow, green, and red, orange, and blue, green. All right, we're gonna let that dry, and next week we will make it into a fancy eyeball. All right, don't lose it. See you next week.